Actually start on time, just a couple of minutes late here. I thought we actually would get around to starting a little bit earlier, so we have. So I don't know if you all want to come a little closer, you're certainly welcome to do so. It would help everyone feel like we're a little bit more engaged with each other. So we would have loved to have Annette Ayers, the chair of our church council, begin with these opening words, but right now there's some circumstances today that she's just not able to do that. And so I would just say that it was decided by the church council that we would go ahead and have a little, what we call a town hall, because as I said earlier, there have been a lot of decisions that have been made, there have been a lot of changes that have been made, and because of the way that the church was unable to interact, that it's really fallen to a pretty smaller group of people than we would have normally had. And so we thought, well, it'd be good for everyone to have a chance to play a little catch up. And the other thing we realized was that we didn't know if it'd be a big interest or not. So we'll throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. So one of the things that Annette would have mentioned is that we've kind of adopted a theme in the last 18 months that we want something that's simple. And so kind of our theme that's evolved is help us help others. And so that's the theme that we're kind of working our way around, and you'll hear some more about that. So again, we'd I know there's just a few of us here, and I don't think there's actually anyone watching us live online, but if you've got a question, I think feel free to ask it. I think why don't we just ask it right when the presenters are doing it rather than wait till the end, because I don't know, I'd probably forget a question that if I had to wait until the end. So if you've got a question, each of us who are speaking can say, hey, got any questions? And then you can be seated. So we kind of got a little bit of an order here, and then we'll open it up to see if someone wants to make a presentation as well. But I thought it makes sense. One of the biggest things that took place was we used to have a pretty big staff around here before the little old virus decided to decimate the United States and around the world. And so the person who's in charge of that in the Methodist structure is the chair of the staff parish. And so I thought Bonnie Rudolph as chair of the staff parish to be a good place to start. So Bonnie, come on up.
Hi, everybody. As a staff parish committee, we work with Pastor Kurt and our staff. And like Pastor Kurt said, last year was way different than other years because our staff at one point just went down to one person, him. And but we were very lucky. We had a lot of community service workers that filled in the gaps, as well as some of our faithful members who took care of our building and our grounds. So we were able to make it without the usual people. But over the year, we were able to bring back our musicians around Christmas time. So Brian and Lynn came back. And then we also hired a part-time treasurer who works for St. Paul, Lisa Strandberg. So she's been doing a wonderful job. She's not a volunteer, so we know that she'll stay doing it. And then we also had to hire our audiovisual team. And so we have three guys that help us with that. We have Kyle and Charlie and John now. So it's a tough job. I've tried it myself, and it's kind of like the job for three people. Since then, we haven't had as many community service workers, so we've hired John Alonzo to do our custodial work. And he started about maybe a month ago. He works on Saturdays and takes care of the cleaning chores. And we've also been very lucky to have our Spanish church that has chipped in and really taken good care of the lower level. So if you see anything down there, chances are Pastor Pablo and his group has done that work. So at this point, now we're ready to bring back our landscaping guy, Juan. because we don't have enough community service staff, so Juan will be hopefully coming back soon, and he'll help take care of the gardens and weeding outside. We're ready to bring back a nursery attendant. So our gal Jenny from many years has decided she doesn't want to continue. So we're looking for somebody who will man the nursery from 10 o'clock to 11:30 on Sundays. So if you know anyone who is interested in taking care of children, has experience or first aid, please have her contact me, or him or her contact me or Pastor Kurt. So, but again, I want to just thank everyone for all the volunteer work and help. If you saw something that needed to be done, I know we had Pat and Karen and others have helped with mailings, and it's been very, very helpful. Pastor Kurt's really been running the office himself with a little help from Lisa from St. Paul's, and then also the Karen and Pat and others. But it's been a tough year. Hopefully this year will be a little more normal. And we've also picked up our YouTube. We didn't have a YouTube presence before, so Pastor Kurt's been doing that, and then we have more Facebook. And during the pandemic, we had daily chats with Pastor Kurt. We had readings with the kids, so we're trying to really expand our presence in the community, so he's done a great job with that. So does anyone have any questions? Yeah. The nursery attendant will not be a volunteer position. It will be a paid position. Currently we're thinking of offering $30 for a period of an hour and a half, and the person would have to be there that whole time. If it was quiet in there, they could come in here, but we don't expect that they would just leave, like in school. If the teacher's not there in 15 minutes, you can leave. So here we would expect the person to just hang out in case kids came late or one of the kids in the church got unruly and wanted to go in there. So, but we're hoping to find somebody definitely before school starts and we get more kids back in church.
John, can you unmute the mic, please? Okay, sorry. Let's get this fired up first. There you go. Thank you, John.
Do we have, does Lisa work for us part-time, or do we have plans to hire a secretary?
Well, right now, Lisa is our treasurer, and she works 5 hours a week for us. Okay, but anything else that she's been doing has been free. So she's very helpful. She's here Tuesdays through Thursdays from 9 o'clock to 1:30, I believe. So she helps out. However, she greets the guests who come in, she answers the phone, and does tasks for Pastor Kurt when needed. But right now, we don't have a plan to hire a secretary or an admin as now. If we see that one is definitely needed, then we will pick that up. But Pastor Kurt's been doing the emails, and then Sarah is going to be helping out with that going forward. So we've had people volunteer, and we haven't had the need to spend the money for a full-time admin like we had in the past.
Yeah, she's 8:30 to 3:30, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no reason you should know that.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all right. Karen, did you have a word you wanted to share at all? The camera's up there, so for all who aren't watching, we'll have you up there.
I don't want to miss my moment in the spotlight here, huh? Okay, I'm going to give you an update on two of our groups. First, United Methodist Women. We did have a very successful kind of welcome back ice cream social last Wednesday. We had about 25 women there, and we invited our friends from Mount Hope and women from St. Paul, so we got to know them and kind of reconnect with our Mount Hope ladies. So we'll start, our leadership team is going to meet sometime in the next month and then start planning, our programs for the starting in September. So stay tuned for those kinds of plans. And then I'll update you on the education committee and our plans, which, the education also came to a screeching halt during the shutdown. But we did open up our adult Sunday school, so that has started. Kaisa Meek, she's got her hand up, is the facilitator, and they're doing cappuccino with the Colossians, I think so. They're kind of in the middle of that study, so if you're interested in joining, see Kaisa and she'll put you connect you with the book. And that meets from 9 to 10 every Sunday morning. We will plan to start a children's Sunday school in September. So Brad Ayers volunteered to be the superintendent, and he will also teach. And so we've got to come up with a curriculum. We're still, somewhere in this church there is a curriculum, but I haven't found it yet, so we may have to order it again. But we'll start that. Usually we do Rally Sunday, the second Sunday in September, so we'll hope to have some children's Sunday school. We also had a book club, and we'll start that in September. We'll come out with, we meet 4 times from September to March, really after church on Sundays, and we'll send out, we make book selections, and you can, pick them up usually at the library. They'll order us a set of books, so you don't have to buy them, or you can you certainly can buy them, but anyway, so the book club will be starting. I do want to tell you, we do have a library in our church, and that has a lot of books, too, to check out and read. So please take advantage of that. We have a lot of United Methodist Women books from their reading program. And actually, we're looking for committee members for the education committee. So if you're interested in joining that, see me. All right, any questions?
I know Kaisa has a comment, so I'll give her the mic.
Okay, so in terms of the adult Sunday school class, it hasn't been very well attended the last couple weeks, so I think we're going to delay it until September. I think people are just very busy in the summer and have other things going on, so we'll pick up back where we are with Colossians in September.
And anybody else have a question for Karen? No, all right. Anybody not watching out there have a question for Karen? No. All right. Sarah, Reconciling Congregation Team, Task Force. That's certainly been brand new in the past 18 months, so give us the lowdown there, Sarah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Naranjolo. I'm the head of the Reconciling Congregation Team. I want to start by saying thank you to all those who recently participated in taking the Pulse survey. I got the results here. I just want to say thank you, though, for taking it, for the feedback, and for your open-mindedness. As far as the results, we had 91% as progressive and 9% as traditional. I know that some of you might be asking, well, what now, or what does that mean? As far as my team goes, the next step that we're looking to take is basically by gaining knowledge from other Methodist churches in the surrounding communities, as far as like possibly Antioch and Crystal Lake, as far as what their next step was in their journey. So kind of get feedback from them as where they're standing, and that way we can look at where we might want to take the next step. Just kind of maybe have someone come in and talk to the congregation about, how it's impacted their congregation, how things have changed. So we will be actively working on seeking knowledge, because everybody knows that knowledge is power. So the more that we gain, the more we know. The other thing I want to talk about is the grand opening. That same Sunday, I had headed over to Pride Fest over in the Woodstock Square. and it was a great turnout. Tons of people, and I was able to pass out postcards with our church information, just kind of letting them know that, all is welcome for Sunday worship. And I got some very positive feedback, so I hope I sparked something inside of everybody, and hopefully during the upcoming Fiesta Days, parade, and in the Art in the Park, I can reach out to more people in our community. So yeah, that's all I have.
Any questions for Sarah? No? Okay. Well, Sarah, thank you very much. I mean, I've got tons of questions I could ask, but we've got, trying to watch our time too. So, all right. I think, do I have the dynamic duo of Arnie and Craig next? I think we do. They're going to do a duet up here for us because just one of them is not enough. We had to have both of them. So, really, the reason is that there's so much overlay between finance and building that I just said, I'll just come up and talk together.
All right, so today we'll just give you a brief history of the giving and where we are financially. Just to go back to last year and in the first 6 months of 2020, we were running $5,446 a month in the red. The pandemic obviously caused the church to go to Zoom worship and Zoom meetings, and Bonnie already talked about the reduction in staff, which was some savings in money, and then with renting out to the In Christ We Are More Than Conquerors Hispanic Church, and then we also entered into an agreement with to share space and to share projects and mission work and share expenses with St. Paul's Episcopal Church. And so for the second half of 2020, we were running $1,788 a month in the red. And then moving to the first 5 months of this year, we are running $2,743 a month in the red. Some of that increased cost to the church is hiring back some of the staff. But really we are looking at a lot of one-time expenses, which Craig is going to talk about. And then we did have some high Norcor gas bills, and we have some plans for that we'll talk about. And then I guess I wanted to point out that even though I would love to be up here and say that we are in the black, we are not, but this is moving in a positive direction. We are not going $5,000 or $6,000 a month in the red. We have turned it around, and we are going in in a positive direction. And I would like, on behalf of the church, to thank members for consistently giving during the pandemic. We did not have a big drop-off of giving because people were not in attendance. People watched on Zoom and people gave. And also, I'd like to thank members who, after we had our town hall meeting last year, increased giving, and that helped out. I think that the thing that we have to look at is we have experienced a lot of one-time expenses or repairs, which are not going to be recurring expenses. And we have covered these expenses by gifts given by members from their estates. And so it's not all gloom and doom. There is some positive. And Craig's going to talk, and then I'll finish up with a request.
The biggest expense we have had this year is right what you're listening to, this sound system. And I don't know how many of you watched our TV service, but it's incredibly better than it was when we started. So this sound system and the TV system is absolutely incredible. The other big expenses we had was we put new windows in over in the office and along that hall and in the pastor's office, and that was like $5,000. In the parsonage, we put a new kitchen floor, kitchen, bathroom, front front door floor in. The NICOR bill. We got a NICOR bill for March. We got it in April. They charged us like over $3,000 for usage, which is 6 times normal. So right now I challenged it with the Attorney General, and I've told everybody, and I just got a nasty email this week saying they're going to come and get the money. They're not going to reduce it, but I haven't told anybody about that yet. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, but I haven't recontacted them yet. The fire marshal inspection, had a hard time with that this year. I finally got the guy out here, and he inspected it, and the phone's not working, so we got to get the phone working. The new lights. I don't know if anybody notices, but they are beautiful. When I was told, well, you should do something with the lights, I looked at them and I said, well, they got 2 kinds of cover. They got brown and white covers. Well, we went up and took them off. The brown ones were burnt. They were white and they'd just been brown from the heat of the light bulb. So we got LEDs now, white covers, should last a long time. And it's really, really looks nice. Expenses in the parsonage, we put new flooring in that I talked about, gutters over the patio. Sean did a lot of detail painting in the bathrooms. 2 doors and 2 windows, I believe Arnie replaced. I guess that was it that was the main stuff for the parsonage. Fluorescent lights in the basements, and we got we got a few left sitting in the back storage room that we replace them as they go out. We've had some plumbing issues. We had a drain in the parlor, and a urinal in the basement was running. Arnie's worked his tail off this fall putting up plastic and plexiglass over a lot of our windows, and it saved us, what'd you say, $300 or so in heating bills? One month. Per month. Or well, he kind of did it towards the end of winter, so 1 month of $300 savings. We need to repair, and the front door was repaired, and that cost a lot of money. And we have people meeting in the basement. We have AA, Boy Scouts, and Girl Scouts, and we have contracts for all of them. And I think, what did you want me to say something about? Something, I don't remember.
I'll finish up here. With,
Okay.
Yeah. So we talked about the Norcar gas bill, which just not that extra delivery charge that we got in March, I believe it was, but it runs around $600 to $800 a month from November to March. So what we did is we made some storm windows for the 2 stained glass windows out front and 1 behind the sanctuary. And then we replaced the front storm door at the parsonage and the house door that goes from the garage out to the garage in the parsonage. And we need to replace the back door and storm door at the parsonage. The cost of just buying the materials is around $1,200. So we're asking members if they would be willing to contribute a gift of $50 towards funding these repairs. And hopefully we will continue working on winterizing the church. Would be one of the plans that we're going to work on, the trustees, because we did put plastic on 18 windows plus the 7 windows that were replaced. So in February, the gas bill dropped from, it was $640 in January, and it dropped to $340 in March. So there was a big, February, so there was a big savings in the gas bill. So we're going to try to work on that this year to save the money for the church so we can use it for other things. So, did anyone have any questions that we could answer? Yes.
Go ahead, Brad.
I just wanted to thank you, Arnie, I wanted to thank you for building the, does anybody remember the Colgate commercials from the 50s? The invisible protective shield. For Arnie, for building us those invisible protective shields that the singers could use so that we could get live music back into the worship. Because a lot of other churches weren't allowing it at all, but we solved the problem there. And thank you for doing that.
Well, we also need to thank Craig for that because he donated some of the plastic framework from an old tent that he was glad to see go, I think.
Yeah.
And we got some other plastic, and then that was some of the leftover plastic from the stained glass window projects. And yeah, so that worked out real nice for that.
Very good. Anyone else with a question for the dynamic duo? All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you. And you guys got 8 minutes because there are 2 of you. So, very good. All right. Let's see. Bonnie's going to put a different hat on now. And Bonnie has a very small head with lots of hats on it. So she's now she's our mission and outreach person, and oddly enough, in this time, we've been doing a lot of work in that area. So, Bonnie?
Yeah. Well, first I want to thank Ernie and Craig for all they do. You know, we don't realize how many hours a week they spend on keeping this church beautiful and running, and we would have paid people to do that in the past, so we are so lucky. Thank you. All right. Well, the Mission Commission has now been changed to the Missions Community Outreach Team, and we're trying to focus more on being a force in the community and having people know us for being helpful, and our motto is going to be help us, help others. So we've tried to introduce that motto by participating in some fundraisers for the high school. We have a banner that's going to be at the football games that will say help us help others in our name, and we've also been a sponsor for special t-shirts that they hand out at basketball games. So besides that, we've partnered with St. Paul in supporting the high school's food pantry. So if you see the shopping cart out in the narthex out there filled with food and other things, that supports the kids at the high school so they can have food on the weekends or whenever they need it. And so what we do is we help others by raising money to directly donate, or else we ask members for donations, or sometimes we have physical labor needed that can support groups in the community. So right now, we've started the year not only with the high school fundraising, but we had our first community neighborhood event, which was our pet blessing and dog-cat adoption. So we had a lawn full of animals and people from the neighborhood and others who saw it on Facebook. So we had about, I would say, at least 50 neighbors out there with their dogs and cats and a turtle, but 7 dogs were adopted by people for the Canines for You group, and then we had Perfect Cat Rescue, and we had a giant cat that walked around. Well, actually, one of our own members had a furry cat suit on, and it was like 90 degrees out that day. So, but it was a big success, and we're going to do it again on October 2nd. So, the next thing that we've got coming up is our biggest event of the year, which is our Fiesta Days food stand over at the park. We've been doing it, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 years as a church. And this year they've taken down the pavilion and built a brand new one. So if you go to the park, you'll see a much bigger pavilion, and it's all going to be used by us. So it's the prime spot in the park. But in order to make that happen and help us raise at least usually about $1,200, $1,500 for groups, and also to help us get our name out there and be present in the community, we have a brat sale, brats and hot dogs, and we have Pat and the gals go up to Milwaukee and pick up Usinger bratwurst. But, so there's special bratwurst, and then we have hot dogs and baked goods, and people come year after year because they know we're the most affordable and, probably wholesome food present on the park that day. So in order to make that happen, we need some help, and there are 4 ways you can help. The first way is to sign up on our sign-up sheet out in the cafe area. We have a couple of different tasks, and it runs on July 17th, a Saturday. Starts really early at 6 o'clock in the morning when a couple of us will be serving donuts and coffee to the vendors, but then it kicks off at 9 o'clock for the rest of the community and runs till 4. So we could use help with grilling and serving, and taking orders, and putting hot dogs in buns, and so simple things like that. But it takes about, well, in the past, sometimes we've had like 50 people help us, but we'll take what we can get, but we can really use some help. And then in order to save some money, we'd like to have donations of pop and water, especially during the 4th of July season. The pop and water is usually discounted at the stores. So if you could pick up a case of water or a case of Diet Coke or Sprite, we'd really appreciate it. And we can drop it off by the little Christmas tree out in the cafe area. That saves us a lot of money so that, we can use the proceeds to support some of the charities around here. Then again, we need baked goods. So in the past, we've had a lot of talented bakers make cookies or brownies and things that won't get all melted when it's 95 degrees outside. So, so if you could do that or know someone who could help with that, that'd be wonderful. But, and this year we're also going to do a raffle basket. So we're going to have a raffle basket, and so far we've got one really nice mug that says praise on it. Oh no, faith. It says faith. So Sarah's already donated that, but we'd like to have something that would represent the church, and usually we're known for baking and pies and good stuff. So if you have anything that you'd like to contribute, we'd like to have a raffle to hand out as well. This year we're gonna have a float in the parade the next day, which is Sunday the 18th. And we're going to have, so far, Bill Tolson and Lisa Haig will be singing. So we'll have that pulled by some volunteer on a trailer. And we hope to have, to spread the good news about the church and our talented musicians, as well as our help others. The Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts will be joining us that day, so we'll have probably about 50 people that will be participating with our float. And so we hope to continue with more events this year, and we'll be working with St. Paul. They've got a mission that's just like ours and very kind people, so we look forward to that. I do want to say, I'll give a little commercial for the Scouts. I've been involved with Scouts here at this church for over 30 years, and we have a very good Cub Scout and Boy Scout program that the church has sponsored for over 60 years. So if you know any kids between the age of 4 and 17, we've got really good programs for them. Right now we have about 50 kids total in the programs, and this week we have 17 of them up in northern Wisconsin at a camp. So they're very good. They do a lot of events and actually flourished during the pandemic. They found creative ways to keep meeting either out at the parks or on Zoom. So it kept going, and it's a good way to mold the kids in our community to be good people. So does anyone have any questions?
We can hear our Latino brothers and sisters downstairs getting wound up. Any questions? All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Well, certainly one of the things that changed dramatically was how we did worship, and so the worship team and what do you do? It's basically when I'm doing one-man band and looking for internet videos, and then as Rob said, then we're so able to bring back live music, and Lynn and Lynn and Brian. Both, you know, they came, they sang. We were supposed to do when I was here, and so then we did the videos, and so just now we're beginning to emerge. You know, I want to thank Jean. She's tracking down the music like we had today, and she's tracking down more music as we're going forward, and so I really appreciate. And we're kind of transitioning back into that whole idea of like the worship together, worship team too as well. Well, you hear me talk all the time, so I guess I'll just try to be super brief, which is, you know, easier for me said than done sometimes for the guy who doesn't like to talk. But it has been quite a year, and I would dare say that, you know, the stories behind how we ended up with both of the Latino church and the St. Paul's, they're really interesting stories. I'm not going to take time for them to hear, but all of us involved feel like those were real God moments, bringing us together. And we see it not only as a financial relationship, but really not first and foremost as a financial relationship, but as a ministry. And I was so happy to hear someone say to me, you know, we always wanted to have a ministry to the Latino congregation here, and now we have one. You know, we so often think about doing it ourselves. I mean, churches are always big on, well, you know, we see a need and we do it rather than find out, well, you know what, there's already a civic group out there that's doing it. Let's partner with the civic group. And so here, you know, the church, and I love it that there was a vision for that, but then, you know, they kind of welcomed themselves in, and they're going to be having a big event in a couple of weeks. And he asked me to come and kind of say the opening prayer. I mean, that's kind of how we want to roll together. You know, it's just a loving, you know, relationship. So, well, in some ways I feel like, and I'm sure this illustration has been used ad nauseum, that we were like the Israelites escaping Pharaoh's army this past year. You know, always trying to stay one step ahead of the virus. And that we were in some ways like the Israelites as they were wandering through the wilderness. I mean, I don't sense we had, well, maybe there was that sense of, because we didn't know. You know, there were times where we thought we were going to start, and then nope, went back down. And then there were times where we thought we were going to start, well, we can start a little bit. And so from the congregations, from your perspective, no doubt at times we looked like, well, can't you make up your mind? Well, unfortunately, the virus didn't want to make up its mind, you know, and it kept mutating. And now, you know, if you haven't been double vaccinated, you know, we're being told you better look out because you know, there's a new variant coming looking for you. So the church, in many ways, I think we can acknowledge, already felt like we were a salmon swimming upstream. I mean, again, long conversation, but there's so many things. You know, many of you will remember when there used to be 100, 200 people here, and that's true for so many congregations. And so we're already, you know, swimming furiously as the salmon upstream, and then all of a sudden it felt like, oh, someone released the dam. Thanks a lot, you know, because already, you know, we had a current coming against us, and then this, you know, this huge wave came against us, and so I'm so thankful for those who have stepped up in new ways to help lead. And now the challenge for us and many other churches is to rebuild, you know, and to build in a new way. Jesus said you don't take new wine and pour it into old wineskins. And so, again, in some ways, the virus, the pandemic has given us an opportunity, as Arnie said, you know, and Craig said, you know, look at, you know, we now have a presence beyond the walls, and many who had kind of moved away physically, or some that just moved away kind of spiritually from the church, were watching us online. And so we had a presence that we otherwise wouldn't have. And so we're trying to figure out we know what the new wine is. The new wine never changes, but it's the wineskins. You know, how do we present the message in a way that's going to connect? And so one of the ways that we're doing that is to try and say to the community, we are a church that wants to help. You know, and we would love if you would come and help us help others. Because one of the things that survey says, people think that a church wants to take from you. You know, that's their fear. You know, if I go there, they're just going to want my money. Well, no, we're asking you to come here so that you can then team with us so that we can help the community. So that's what we want to do. Paul said that we're like, the church is like a body, and that the hand can't say to the eye, I don't have any need for you. The ear can't say to the foot, I don't have any need for you. And so every little part can do. And I think the illustration that I used about Naperville today is, yeah, I mean, after I didn't even think about it, it came out of my mouth. Maybe that's what we do. We just get in a van, drive down there, start walking down the street, and somebody's going to say, you guys looking for something to do? Like, yeah, that's why we came. Well, come on in. I've got something for you to do. You know, I think it really can be just that simple. And there's a lot of things that here, I mean, whether it's helping with the coffee, you know, we've really tried to step our game up with the coffee and try to, you know, good, and it has been, you know, all of a sudden, this is really good coffee. And then, you know, the treats. And so we're really trying to make this a welcoming place. It used to be that churches operated on you needed to believe to belong. And now churches, in many ways, even your more conservative churches are realizing you need to help people feel like they belong in order for them to believe. And so we want to create an atmosphere here where there's a sense of belongingness, irrespective with our reconciling ministries, irrespective of however you love, however you dress, whatever you do. You know, we're just thankful here, and we want to welcome you. All right. So, and then I think the final challenge is, while there will be some efforts to say, well, let's go here and reach out. I mean, seriously, you know, to those of us who have eyes, we can see that the trend line continues in a troublesome direction. I mean, we'd be, you know, short-sighted to not realize that. That the number one way that this church or any church grows is by invitation, personal invitation. While as helpful as it is to go out and put placards on doors or do you know, the stuff that Bonnie mentioned, whether it's these outreach things are very, very important. But in addition to that, the number one thing that gets people to come to a church is not advertising Friday in the afternoon in newspaper, if anyone ever gets the newspapers anymore, which some do. But it's by personal invitation. And so I'm hoping, you know, we're hoping that we create something here so that you can say to a friend, hey, you know what? This is what's going on where I go on Sunday morning is really meaningful. And so we hope that you'll come and join. And, you know, will you come with me? Just try it one time. You know, just come see if it's helpful for you. There's a lot, I mean, remain convinced. There are a lot of lonely people. So who cares what they believe? You know, just invite them because you're being a friend to them. You know, and we'll try to have an atmosphere here on a Sunday morning that will help them feel comfortable no matter what they believe, so that they will feel like they can belong. In order to some point, they might feel like they then come into a sense of believing why we're here to begin with. So, all right, that's my spiel. I could go on a lot longer, but I do that all the time. So, anyone have a question for me? If you do. Friends are laughing. That's good. That'd be a no. Okay. I'm quite comfortable with no questions. Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'd like to thank those of you who have been here. And while I think none were live, I'm hoping and trusting that some will watch later. And so if you're watching this later, if you had a question, feel free to just respond to the email that you got this in. And we'll be glad to figure out a way of getting back to you. If nothing else, I'll just reach out to you personally. So how about I conclude with a prayer, and then we can commence to our next. So Lord, we are thankful. We truly are a body. Paul's image that the church is a body, and that even the lesser parts are of greater significance. And so it surprised everybody when he took the towel off and he began to wash the disciples' feet. Help us to be a congregation where that's just natural. It just feels quite normal for us to try and serve one another, to outserve one another, perhaps even because of how you have impacted our life. The great servant has placed in us a servant's heart. So I'm thankful for those who have gathered here, thankful for those who will watch later, and pray your blessing upon those whose hearts are broken. We continue to pray for those in Florida. We continue to pray for the over 600,000 who have lost a loved one to the virus. We pray for those down in Naperville whose lives have just been totally ransacked by the tornado, and then maybe in some way that we'll be able to reach out and help them as well. So we go forth in the name that is above every other name, the wonderful name of Jesus. Amen. All right. Well, thank you all for coming.